What's up, you guys? Sean Ross Sapp, Fightful, here with a name you know. We've had the good fortune of interviewing him a few times. WrestleCade last year. We've done some stuff remotely. But you're going to get the opportunity to see him on March 30th, 8 p.m. at the Millennium Biltmore Hotel in Los Angeles. We've got legendary tag team wrestler and host of FTR with Dax. We got Dax Harwood. How you doing, man?
Yo, what's up, Sean? I'm glad you corrected that. It's not a motel.
I,
It's
I
not a 1980s horror movie. Jesus Christ.
I did. I almost.
It's the hotel.
Although I've been to a few good motel parties in my day.
Oof. Oof.
It was
Not
about to
me.
sound like that Nate Dogg Warren G song. Like that's how it's going to go
Yeah.
down.
Yeah. That'd be okay as long as they were there. Yeah.
Yeah, indeed. But
All
you
their
got the
fans.
FTR with Dak show. Man, it's taken off. It's blown up. And I mean, there are plenty of people who do podcasts, but there are very few that are on top of the wrestling world that are in the middle of the accolades in which you and Cash are, that are out there giving honest, transparent feelings and thoughts on how you feel about things, how you feel about things that happened like less than a year ago, even. What made you make that decision to say, yeah, I'm going to go forward with this?
Well, first of all, I appreciate all that, but I think it was, the fact that my buddy Matt Coon, who I think understands. I think there's a lot of podcast co-hosts out there today uh, who think that their brainwave is on the same as a professional wrestler. And so they don't step back and say, I'm a fan. They step back and say, oh, I'm in the wrestling business.
Sure.
And I don't think that's the way to go about it, excuse me, unless you've actually been in the wrestling business. So, with Matt Coon, he's a fan first, and he'll tell you he's a fan first. So he doesn't try to either rationalize or combat some of the things that I feel or how I feel as a wrestler. And so with him giving me this opportunity, that's why that's why I jumped on it, because I knew he wasn't going to undermine me as a wrestler or any of the wrestlers or even the fans. I knew he wasn't. I knew he was going to be on the same page as the wrestling fans. I also knew that I am a current wrestler, and even though Cash and I've been teaming since 2014, that's still pretty damn current. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That's still in this era. And I knew that if I were going to talk about the things that would appeal to the audience from my perspective, I knew it was going to ruffle some feathers. But I go into no podcast with the intention to ruffle feathers. I go into the podcast just to tell the truth. And in every interview, whether it's with you or whether it's with Matt Coon on my podcast or whatever, I just want to tell the truth, because that's all I have. That's my worth, is to tell the truth. And yeah, like you said, there are a shit ton of podcasts, man, around the world right now, especially in professional wrestling. And so to make mine a little different, I told Matt that I wanted to have, obviously, wrestling in the forefront, but also I wanted to talk about anxiety. I wanted to talk about stress. I wanted to talk about struggles as a human being, a father, a husband, how I'm on the road and how I deal with that. And so I wanted to intertwine those in, and not just talk about the wrestling aspect, um, because that's what every other podcast does. And so yeah, and now I'm here. We're doing well. I'm very surprised we're doing so well, and I'm very happy that we're doing so well.
And I know Matt Coon to be a great person personally. He's a talented guy as a musician, even though he is out front. I mean, he's worked with so many people in wrestling that he kind of understands personality dynamics really well. A thing that I love about Matt is how composed he is, no matter what. Like, you almost never see
Right.
him heated. You never see him raise his voice. He's so good with that. He's a great person to have on the other end.
Yeah, I think so. I think he's a great person to have on anybody's team. With Conrad too. Uh, like you said, he doesn't get rattled, and I think if he did get rattled or did get upset, you might want to watch out, because
Yeah.
you don't see it very often with him, dude. He is. He makes it so easy, and he does his homework. And I've said it before. He could do a podcast with any other wrestler. I couldn't do a podcast with any other co-host. So I owe him a lot, dude. And this live event we have in Los Angeles is all because of him. This was his idea, his brainchild. At first, I didn't really necessarily want to do it because I've said it a million times to the point where I'm sure people want to throw up, but I am a family man. I love staying home with my family. So flying across the country to LA wasn't super appealing to me, but
It
he
can be
explained it to me.
nerve-wracking too, a live event based on this specific thing, this specific product, you.
Right. Yes, surrounded by all the other stuff going on right now,
Yeah.
in LA that weekend. So yeah, it was very nerve wracking going into it, but he talked me into it, and he said it would be fun and we could do it the way that I wanted to do it. And I told him, and I told the people that we had a business meeting with, I said, the way I want to do it, I want it to be like a whole bunch of friends at a bar. I want us to have fun. I want us to talk and interact. I don't want it to be a deal where I'm sitting behind a table and there's a line of people and we come up and say hello. I wanted the live event to have my friends with me because I didn't want to just have somebody there, you know what I mean, or have a name there. I wanted to have guys that I could have fun with and that I would enjoy. That's why I brought in Hobbs and Cash, Wardlow, Sean Spears, and we've got a few other surprises too that I think everyone's going to enjoy. But I wanted my friends to be there because the more comfortable I am, the more comfortable the fans are, and the more fun we could all have. God, that sounds so corny for me to say, but it's the truth, dude. And Sean, I invite you if you're going to be there on Thursday night. Please come and hang out with us, dude. I don't think we've ever had I don't even know if you drink, to be honest.
I don't drink.
I think okay. Well, that's okay. That's all right. You can still come and hang out. We had a good time at WrestleCade together.
We did.
So.
We did.
I'd love for you to come out to Los Angeles.
I encourage you guys check out ftrwithdax.splashthat.com. You can see the availabilities for tickets. You guys have a VIP post show as well. Which, listen, I have partied with Matt Coon before. That did happen at WrestleCade. That absolutely happened.
Yeah, he's a lot of fun, dude.
He is. He's a blast. He's wonderful, and you got a lot of great guests there. So the nature of what I do and what my team does is a lot of times we're listening to these shows and we go, what's the best story? What's the juiciest story? Have you seen any headlines or stories where you're like, I wish I wouldn't have said that yet? Or anything that maybe got you a little bit of heat?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, my God, dude. Yes. So, first of all, real quick before we move on, I want to say the VIP thing is going to be unlike any other VIP that you've ever been involved with as a fan. Because, dude, like I said, I told them that I wanted the VIP to be a personable thing. I wanted everyone to be able to come up to me and come up to my guests and talk to us and let's have fun. And if they drink, let's all have a drink together and just be friends for that hour or so we're together. But yes, moving on to the to the heat thing. There've been a shit ton of stories. I think there have been more stories since my podcast about me than my whole 19-year career as a professional wrestler did. Like I said, I knew it was gonna ruffle feathers that I was gonna talk, especially coming out of the gate with the CM Punk podcast. And the reason I wanted to do the CM Punk episode was because I feel like there were journalists who were painting him in a certain picture or painting him in a certain light. Because if you look at CM Punk's career, he has always gone against the grain and stood up for himself and stood up for what he believes in. And I've said it before. I didn't think he and I were going to be friends at all. I thought we were going to hate each other. The story I've told is, Cash and I, whenever we were going to meet Punk for the first time in AEW, I told Cash, I said, if this motherfucker comes to me, sorry, I said the F word.
That's okay.
If he comes to me and tells me that I'm not dressed the part, like I'm not wearing a suit to TV, we're going to have a problem. And I thought, I thought we were just going to clash because honestly, we're so much alike. But dude, we became the best of friends, and he's a very passionate human being. And I wanted that first episode to be about him because I wanted everyone to know what my truth was, and I wanted everyone to know that shit happens, and it happened, and I hated that he was getting the reputation that he was getting. But I wanted them to know that we needed CM Punk. And we needed the Young Bucks, and we needed Kenny Omega. We need them in AEW. We need them to survive. Excuse me, because right now we're the second largest wrestling company in the world. And with those entities working together, dude, and then thankfully throw my dumb ass and Cash in there. It's a recipe for something that could be really, really, really good. And so I just wanted to let everybody know that shit happens, fights happen, and no one is at fault. Excuse me, not one person is at fault.
Sure.
Everyone is, and that's how it should be. Everyone should have be on the exact same slate. So yes, I've got heat for that. I've had some coworkers go to the dirt sheets and tell the dirt sheets what they think, and they weren't very happy with me. But that's okay, because the people that reached out to me, that have reached out to me and continue to reach out to me from AEW and from WWE, tell me how much they enjoy the work of a podcast, how much they enjoy hearing my passion, how much they enjoy hearing me break down the psychology and what I think going into a match or something. So the ones that are there are a few loud people, and they're loud undercover, but the people who love it, there are way more people like that than there are the people who don't love it.
So I would imagine, like, even if you had mentioned somebody that maybe you had an issue with or didn't like the way that things went, if they came to you, I would imagine that you would be open to just speaking with them about it and hashing it out.
Absolutely, dude. It's happened numerous times. I mean, people that have had an issue with me or I've had an issue with, face to face. That's how I've always dealt with things. I'm 38 years old, dude, and that's how. I mean, I wear my heart on my sleeve. I really do, and I'm so passionate, and I can't hide how I feel, whether I love you or whether I don't agree with you. I just can't hide how I feel. If I feel like Cash and I are being if I feel like we're being underutilized, or we're basically just being shit on, I'm gonna let you know. I gotta let you know. And so that's, I for better or worse, that's kind of my MO, that if I have a problem or you have a problem with me, I'm going to come to your face, and we're maybe you should cut out the come to your face part. But I'm going to come to you, and we're going to figure this thing out. And if it has to be a fight, it has to be a fight. But if we can just talk through it, I'd much rather that happen.
Yeah, I mean, we saw Sammy and Eddie work together last year after they openly discussed getting into a bit of a physical altercation. We saw Edge and Matt Hardy get over some personal things.
Wow.
To me, like, I don't think that there's any more compelling possible storyline than CM Punk and his friends against the Elite, Kenny Omega, even Colt, if they could get over that. Like, I think a lot of people would be like, hell yeah, I'll watch that. Because to me, like, again, I don't know the deep-seated things with Punk and Colt, but from everything I've heard, like, nobody's wife was mentioned. Like, nobody, like, there was no racism or bigotry or anything that would be like, oh, well, I'm not going to work with that person because of that reason. I look at the possibility of the art and the money, and I'm like, man, that would, like, what's more important than those two things in this situation?
Right. So I don't know the whole dynamic between the Punk and Colt thing.
Sure.
And I don't really care to know everything about it, because that has no bearing on how I feel about Colt or how I feel about Punk. I mean, I've told my issues with Colt, and that was way before Punk got there. But I'm in the business for the business. Mm-hmm. That's it. If I can make friends along the way, man, that's fucking cool. And if I don't, that's okay too, because I'm in the business for the business. And right now, the biggest business I want to do is there should be a story between, at the very least, myself and Cash and the Young Bucks. I mean, there should be a real story. I mean, there's a rubber match got to come soon. And, if personal issues can be put to the side, this could make a lot of money. And that's all I want to do. I want to make money, and I want to do good for wrestling.
So I'd imagine you've kept in touch with Punk during this time off. Is there like any awkwardness or anything there? Or is it just you all talking about life?
No, no awkwardness. Of course, we're going to both. I talk to him almost every day. Mm-hmm. Of course, both of us are going to. We're going to kind of what is the phrase I'm looking for? We're gonna
talk business, talk shop.
I'm drawing a blank here. If we're upset about something,
Sure.
we're going to tell each other, because I don't want to
Mhm.
go to my wife and say, oh my God, at work this is happening, or
Yeah.
in the WWE they've got Vince coming back, or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to do that with my wife, because I was gone for so long in uh, in our life, me and my wife's lives. Uh, from the time we started dating until just when I got to AEW, I was gone all the time. Uh, 18 hours of school every semester, 3 jobs, until I finally went to WWE. When I went to WWE, I was working every single day. So I try not to bother her with that. And he and I have this um, camaraderie, and we have this kind of agreement that we can spew the venom towards each other, but if it gets too much and we're both getting a little too negative, it's like, hey, let's take it
Yeah.
back a second. Here's this clip of Bret Hart, you know what I mean? Or what about this, match? Or, right now we're talking. He sent me a text the other day, or actually it was like 3 a.m, and he was reading Steve Kern's new book, which
Heard
he
it's really
actually
good.
wrote. Yeah, I've heard it's really, really good. He wrote the foreword in there, and he said, "Dude, this is making me miss wrestling, like as wrestling." So he still loves it, man. He loves it, and as do I. And I think that's, loving it too much sometimes can be a detriment to me and to both of us.
What do you think of the FTR Bald nickname? I know you've seen it. I know you've seen it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, there's a new T-shirt coming out on boxgimmicks.com. It's
Hell yeah.
FTR Bald is my homeboy. But at first, I was like, Danhausen, this motherfucker is making me into a joke. And then I started thinking about it, and I was like, that's pretty cool. That's pretty funny. So yeah, it's, I've seen it for the positives and the negatives. I've seen people talk about how much they hate FTR Bald, and FTR hair is their favorite, which is fine, because that seems like everybody.
I love it, man. Like I saw it and I was like, at first I was like, is this in good spirits? And mostly it is, like, because especially after the 2022 that you had, hey, you got 3 Fightful awards for your 2022,
I know, dude. They're right here.
including Singles Wrestler of the Year, which is
Yeah.
just amazing. I love that. And you've often told me, like, loving wrestling was the motivation beyond all of it. You get these
Yep.
opportunities to have these one-on-one matches, and the audience responds the way that they have, whether it be fan voting or the fan reaction live. What's that like to you to see that so many of these people just love what you're doing, whether it's singles, tag, or trios?
So that's cool. That's very cool, obviously, and that's the boring answer to say it's cool. But above that, man, is to see how much they care about me. Period. Not how much they like my matches. That's cool too. I love that and I enjoy that. But for example, we were at the Icons of Wrestling signing on in Philly on Saturday,
Yeah.
and we were supposed to go from 11 until 2. And when we got there, our line was, and I'm not saying this egotistically, I'm saying this from someone whose mind is blown. It was a surreal moment, and I couldn't believe it. Our line was out the building, out the door, wrapped around the building, dude. It was insane. And then the amount of people that came up to me and hugged me, men and women, and dude, and children, and there were a ton of children. The little kids, especially the little girls, like fight like an 8-year-old girl did something to them. Some of the men like come up to me and they cried, man, and they hugged me, and they
Love it.
said, your story about anxiety, or you speaking out about anxiety, has helped me. And all, and then the girls too, the women as well, coming up and hugging and saying how much we've touched their lives, how much they care about us, how much they love us, dude. That's and then Revolution, the coming back and hearing that ovation, like, those are the things, dude, that I care about. I love winning these awards, and it makes me very prideful, and I know I've done something right for the thing I love, professional wrestling. But these fans caring about me as a character and a human being, that trumps it all, man. And like, I never could understand why John Cena wouldn't turn heel, right? I never could understand it until this moment. And look, I'm not comparing myself to John Cena. I never would, dude. But what I'm saying is, I get it now. I understand the people that he's touched and that love him. he didn't want to do it. And like I feel the same way, and I just hope that uh, I hope they keep that feeling for me until the day I retire, because I have that tenfold for them.
As we start to wrap up, a reminder, guys, March 30th, 8 p.m., the Millennium Biltmore Hotel, not a motel. You can get, you can,
Or a Holiday Inn.
exactly. You can get VIP as well, which gives you preferred seating for the live show. You get an exclusive event poster and then the post-show party as well. A thing that caught a lot of our eyes whenever you all did come back was Shatter Machine. That terminology
Yeah.
specifically is back. How did that become a thing? And because I remember hearing that you guys had to sign over or allow WWE to take claim of a lot of trademarks to even be able to hit the bricks from there when you did. Was that one of them? And if so, how did this come about?
So how it came about was obviously Edge and Beth. They hit the move on WWTV, and hearing Michael Cole say "Shatter Machine." You can ask my wife. She took a video. It made me so emotional, dude, because we, have we came up with the move, we came up with the name, and now 10 years after we've come up with all that stuff, they're still using that name, that move, in a company that we're not even associated with it at the time. You know what I mean? And so that was and it struck a chord with me, and I was like, you know what, this is that's what it's called. It's the Shadow Machine, and that's what we're going to use. So signing over the rights, we did. I don't know if I can legally talk about all that stuff about
Sure.
what names were used and what wasn't. I'll just say that we got permission to use that name.
Okay, that's good. That's very good. I like that. And I mean, we had kind of seen that in the past. Like Cody Rhodes very much wanted to use Cody Rhodes in AEW as opposed to Cody, and something ended up getting worked out. And everything ended up okay, and I think that speaks well of that type of situation. Now,
For sure.
of course, the way that a lot of people got familiarized with FTR was "fuck the revival." I mean, that was such a great bit. I mean, when Brandy popped up and just screamed that in the middle of a BTE, that got a huge pop from me because it seemed like they were setting the stage. One day this is going to happen. One day this is going to happen. Like, and that had been the tease forever. Had you had any real contact with any of the people on BTE when that happened, or was that something that just
Dude,
organically grew from that?
no, never did we talk to any of them. I think, I've said it before. I think that for so long the Young Bucks were the tag team, right?
Mm-hmm.
Were the tag team in wrestling. They may not have been on mainstream television, but they were the team that was bringing back tag team wrestling. And I think in 2015, rolling into 2016, this little 5'10" North Carolinian boys came along and they kind of stole the show from those guys, and we, you know, and we did it by having our own style, because there were so many young bucks copycats that came after them, and that are still out there now trying to do that style. And that's not the way that Cash and I operate. That doesn't matter. I'm not saying that they are wrong and we're right. I'm saying they're both good, obviously. But we came along and we took a little bit of the shine off of them as far as tag teams go, and I think that they said, you know what, we can come up with this and make it into something, and let's say fuck the revival. But we never talked to those guys. We never talked to Cody. We never talked to the Bucks. At first, my little sensitive ass, of course, I was a little upset at first when I heard it, because these motherfuckers didn't even come to me, you know what I mean,
Yeah.
and talk to me about this. They just did it. And then I was like, well, hold on, this is getting us over a little more than than anything else on WWE TV. So obviously it took a life of its own, and in WWE, we got to use FTR like on our trunks and stuff, and no one ever said anything. I couldn't believe it. And we transitioned it into Forever the Revival. And, in our hearts, that's what it means. Obviously, I can't sell a t-shirt that says
Yeah.
Forever the Revival because WWE owns that name. But in our hearts, that's what FTR means. And we will forever be the Revival, because that is something that's very sentimental to me. I came up with the name. Me, Cash, and Sami Zayn came up with the name, the Revival, And it's a huge part of my career, my life, and that's what FTR will mean to me.
I love all the nods that Edge gives to you guys. Like even when there's the break in segment with Seth Rollins and he mentions you two by name, he's like he's on like and like we caught it in the moment. Like it's one of those things where I'm like, I wonder if he ran that by Vince. Doubt it. And Vince is probably like, who? One of those things.
Right.
He probably knows you by whatever your WWE names were.
No, to
But
be fair, he probably doesn't know us by WWE names.
that's,
If you would have said
that,
who's Scott Dawson Dash Wilder, he would say, I have no fucking clue who
that's
they
true.
are.
He didn't realize that Gallows was Festus for a long time.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
that. But does that stuff come as a surprise to you when it happens? Or like, do you get a heads up that, hey, might be a little name drop?
No idea. But the Shatter Machine, going into that, like I was training with those guys
Yeah.
on the way to that match, and I was helping them get ready for the match and throwing out ideas and things like that. And I said, what would be cool if you guys hit the Shatter Machine? And Edge said, well, funny enough, we were going to surprise you guys and do the Shatter Machine. He said, but Beth is kind of worried that she's not going to be able to jump as high because he's pretty tall, She's not going to be able to jump as high to connect, and we've never done it before. And I said, yeah, it's pretty easy. And so what they were going to do is they were going to hit the 3D, right? As a tribute to the Dudley Boys and the ladder matches and stuff like that. They were going to hit the 3D. And he told me that actually that moment in the match is when they wanted to do the Shadow Machine, but they were worried that she was worried that she couldn't hit it. So I said, let's pull out the crash pad. And I just showed her the movement that Cash does with the jumping knees, the code breaker or whatever. And she jumped up. We didn't practice the move. I think the only time they ever actually did it was on television, but or on the pay-per-view. But she practiced, and she was still very doubtful. So I thought they had settled on 3D, and so that came out of nowhere as well. But no, we never get a heads up. It's just a little. I think it's more than a wink and a nod to us. I think it's a thank you because we helped Beth get ready for her WrestleMania match when her and Natty wrestled Sasha and Bailey. And,
I'd love to see them do more stuff together too. I would love to see Beth and Natty, Divas of Doom, back in there
for sure. And we helped Adam get ready. We were with him when he took his very first bump before he even went to his doctor to get cleared. He wanted to see how it felt. And then we helped him get ready for his comeback. And, so I think more than anything, it's just a thank you. And I love you guys.
The beauty of the Shatter Machine or the 3D is if you were like, hey, Beth should do the flapjack, it'd be like, okay. Because she's so strong, she could have pulled that off as well.
Dude, yes, she's as thick up, broad shouldered as I am. Dude. She is so strong.
One of my favorite performers of all time. Last question: who are some tag teams that you haven't worked with that you'd like to? There's some great ones across the indies, like Violence is Forever. There's some in other companies. You got Edge in one company, Christian in another company. Obviously, that's something that is on a lot of people's bucket list.
Right. Violence is Forever is a team that we've tried to make something work, but it's just hard. It's just hard with our schedule. And then we also have to get the okay from. We had to get the okay from Tony for the couple of years we've tried. But yeah, I'd love to work with them. Let's see. The Edge and Christian thing. I'll just say that's more of a possibility than people think.
God, I hope.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Dude, we had one match with the Street Profits when they were first coming up, and I would love it. Was great. I mean, Dawkins is an incredible talent, underrated talent, dude.
Keeps getting better every single week. He looks better. He's faster. He's stronger. Every single week I see him.
Yes. Yeah. And he's been in that system for 10 years, or 9 years, excuse me. This will be his 9th year because he came in with me. But, he's got the charisma that isn't as forward as Montez. I'm sorry, not Montel Jordan. Montez. It's not as forward as his. He has his charisma inside, and to me, that's more of an innate it factor charisma is Angelo Dawkins. So I'd love to work with those guys. we had a couple of matches with the Usos in 2018 and going into 2019. Um, but I think both of us are at the peak of our careers. Both teams, I mean, are at the peak of our careers, creatively, or character-wise, and athletically as professional wrestlers. And I think that us together, right now, you know, two badass Samoan guys and two badass Southern guys, um, who don't mind throwing hands and also don't mind talking a little shit. I think that that's could make for some really, really good storytelling. I'd love that. Um,
You all also made Lexington history 3 miles from my house. The back shaving was at Rep Arena.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, it was. I was there
Dude,
for that
you should
show.
have come and joined in.
I was there for that show, and I was like, oh boy.
Nash needed a little help.
Listen, there's Vince McMahon teaming with God at Rep Arena, and then there's you all getting your back shaved. Like,
Right.
tag team history right there.
Two monumental moments in tag team wrestling history.
Exactly.
God, and FTR.
I didn't go to that show either. God was booked to wrestle, and I didn't show up. Like, it's
Wow.
he used a version of Brodus Clay's eventual theme too. I don't know if you knew that.
I did not know
Yeah,
that, no.
they used it for like 4 wrestlers. It was like Ernest Miller, God, Brodus Clay. Of course, Tenzai and Xavier used it. That theme got so recycled. But God. I mean, everything's derivative, I guess, of the
God's
creator.
In good company. He's in good company with Ernest Miller, Tenzai, and the Funkasaurus.
Yeah. Guys, a reminder, FTR with Dax Live, Los Angeles, the Millennium Biltmore Hotel, March 30th, 8 p.m. They got a great post-show party there. Go to ftrwithdax.splashthat.com. I could talk to Dax about wrestling all day, but I get the feeling we'll get more opportunities to talk soon.
Absolutely, and I hope you come and join us in LA. Come and be my guest, please. I would love for you to, and maybe we can talk a little afterwards as well.
Absolutely, guys. And until next time, we're out. NordVPN.com/Fightful. What more can I say that I haven't already said? Well, I'm going to have to say a few things because this is an ad read for NordVPN.com/Fightful. The way that I get UFC pay-per-views for 1/6 the price, the way that I'm able to unlock lots of content, the way that I'm able to keep myself browsing safely and securely when I'm on the road or when I'm at home on all my devices. This bad boy right here, this bad boy right here, all these bad boys around here that you can't even see are all protected with NordVPN.com/Fightful, a 30-day money-back guarantee. You already get a great deal on it. The amount in savings that I had the first month beat the price that I paid for the subscription itself. And again, works on all your devices with one subscription. NordVPN.com/Fightful. Check out their many great tiers and tons of other great features. NordVPN.com/Fightful.